The updated Resolution 68 invites member states and sector members to celebrate the day annually by organizing appropriate national programs with a view to stimulating reflection and exchanges of ideas on the theme adopted by the Council of the ITU. Debating the various aspects of the theme with all partners in the society and formulating a report reflecting national discussions on the issues underlying the theme to be fed back to ITU and the rest of its membership. The purpose of the World Telecommunication and Information Society Day is therefore to help raise awareness of the possibilities that the use of the internet and other information and communication technologies can bring to societies and economies, as well as of ways to bridge the digital divide. The ITU Council usually decides the theme of each year's celebration, and the theme chosen for this year's WTISD, or the World Telecom and Information Society Day, is Bridging the Standardization Gap. The 2019 theme will allow ITU membership and other key stakeholders to focus on the opportunities for participation of developing countries in ITU's standards-making process, empowering local experts in the standardization process at the national, regional, and international levels. And 3, promoting the implementation of international standards in developing countries. Setting standards is a fundamental pillar of ITU's mission as a specialized agency of the United Nations for Information and Communication Technologies. ITU standards help accelerate ICTs for all sustainable development goals. As a digital immigrant, let me use a scenario to explain why we need to bridge standardization gap immediately. Whether you want to connect to the internet, enjoy a sports event on a television, or listen to radio in your car, or watch a video on your smartphone, ITU standards make it possible to seamlessly given the ubiquitous mobile broadband. Although disruption has long been a threat for some industries, the rise of digital technologies has accelerated the pace of disruption in virtually every industry, creating immense ambiguity and unease. Meanwhile, uncertainty continues to accelerate in the broader business environment as the rate at which new technologies emerge increases exponentially. Consequently, competition becomes increasingly fierce. The dominance of standardization has never been more under threat than now as we approach the 4th industrial revolution with the emergence of 5G networks. However, these changes are also creating immense opportunities and the tools to prosper during the age of digital disruption are accessible and available. The upcoming 5G standards, especially if coupled with artificial intelligence, will support a new range of applications, which will soon take for granted, from self-driving cars to safer and smart cities. It is in the light of the above that the ITU standards is consistently being pursued to ensure interoperability, open up global markets, and spur innovation and growth. These standards are good for both the developed and developing countries. They will also accelerate ICT's for all sustainable development goals. The overarching goal of the Bridging the Standardization Gap program is to facilitate increased participation of developing countries in standardization to ensure that developing countries experience the economic benefits of associated technological development, and to better reflect the requirements and interests of developing countries in the standards development process. The Bridging the Standardization Gap is a fundamental part of ITU's mission to connect the world. It is also one of the strategic objectives of ITU's standardization sector, also known as ITUT. It will also address the disparities in the ability of developing countries relative to developed ones to access, implement, and influence ITU's international standards. In this context, and from our own end here in Nigeria, we shall learn about bridging the standardization gaps, develop the right skills for standards making at ITUT community, join activities in the regions of the world, to participate in the standardization work of ITUT, and 5, to partner with recognized bodies to help us bridge the standardization gap. It is on this basis that I want to join the ITU body in calling on ITU member states, industry members, small and big companies and academia, together with UN sister agencies, partners and all stakeholders to support ITU's Bridging the Standardization Gap program for the prosperity and well-being of all. The Ministry of Communications is committed to forward-looking policies to enable citizens, businesses, and societies to prosper while mitigating the possible adverse effects that can accompany economic change. This, we are sure, will encourage investment and promote development of digital economies while building an inclusive digital future for its citizens. Nigeria will be joining the ITU in Bridging the Standardization Gap program by facilitating the efficient participation of Nigeria in ITU's standards making processes and hands-on sessions in the course of the year. So let us, as digital immigrants and natives, celebrate this year's World Telecommunication and Information Society Day with confidence and joy. Let each of us renew our pledge to do our utmost to tap the power of the ICTs and technologies to build a more creative, connected, and smart Nigeria. As the world commemorates the World Telecommunication and Information Society Day, I call on all stakeholders and governments at all levels, in collaboration with the other concerned bodies, to put up stiff measures that would bridge the standardization gap. I wish you a very successful World Telecommunication and Information Society Day 2019. We've had a lot of benefits from the ITU, especially in getting special guidance and advice on the telecommunications and information and communication technologies and ICT sector. So we work based on standards. You can't provide telecom services without having standards. And we know that there are different manufacturers in the world. Nigeria is mainly a consumer nation, and we buy most of the equipment from foreign countries. But our participation in ITU helps us to understand the standards of most of this equipment that we use, or the standards that are available that all these equipments use, because they are guided by standards. Otherwise, the equipment that we use in this country will not be able to talk to each other. So there has to be this interoperability between equipment. Otherwise, we cannot talk to each other. So since our participation at the ITU, we attend meetings, discuss with other colleagues from different parts of the world to have understanding of what the standards are, so that we buy the correct equipment to this country. We don't buy equipment that are substandard. We know the standards that are available, so that we know that some of these equipment may have their own hazards and they radiate emissions that may be hazardous. So if you know the standards, because we participate in these meetings, we know what the levels of the signals that are being transmitted are, and the kind of equipment that we need to use. So we're able to operate within the guidelines and standards, so that we operate safely. Because if we operate out of the standards, we may be causing a lot of hazards to humans, because the emissions may be hazardous at times. But because of the standards, this equipment that we import or we buy from other countries, we make sure that they meet the international standards.